Thanks again. Appreciate you. Thank you everyone for joining here on a Tuesday. It's bright outside at this time. That means summer's coming. So just want to welcome everyone here to this health talk. And even though it's a topic that has been frustrating for many as they're going through this change in season in life, it can be something that we can embrace, even though we have some challenging days. And I'm including myself because I don't know where I'm at. I'm not having the experiences yet, but I'm 53, so you never know. So my cousin tells me I'm not there yet, but you can't stop the hands of time, right? So again, my name is Kerry-Ann Joseph-McLean. My husband and I, we decided to, his name is McLean, by the way. We started this health dream, this passion, this drive of ours over 12 years ago. And we sort of had the idea that we wanted to add value, have a life of contribution and significance as we transition from corporate to empowering health. And so I'm going to share with you something that's been in my heart for over a year. And given the life season and things that have happened between family emergencies with health and death in our family, I just didn't think it was the right time for me mentally to do that. So I made a decision and I spoke to my husband. I said, you know what's important for us to speak about certain things that's taboo in our community, that we don't have sometimes a network of people or a community of people to share in a safe environment that we can sort of express ourselves and to gain more knowledge. There's a lot of information on the internet. And so, of course, we just want to be able to say, okay, here you can find the information. If we don't have the information, we can try to get it for you. My background is in corporate, in IT, but as we transition to empowering health, I want to stress this to you. I am not a health practitioner. I don't have any degree or certification in health, like a doctor or a nutrition or naturopathic doctor, but I'm a health enthusiast. And so for me, being able to find the information to share it with you is what is one of the things that's my superpower, so to speak, right? So welcome everyone. I'm so happy that you're here. And this topic today is on mostly about menopause, perimenopause, but I'm going to also include andropause. If you ever heard about andropause, it's something that men go through. Some symptoms like menopause. I'm not mean to laugh, but a lot of people have never heard of andropause before. So as I share this with you, again, feel free to, basically ask questions afterwards because we're going to open a Q&A and question and answer. But what I want you to do is feel free to place your questions in the comments in the chat section as well as we're going through, and please place your phone on mute as well. So let me just share this with you. And also, it's not too late to sort of invite or send out your reminders to those who have accepted the invite as well. There we go. All right, and here I go with my slide. There we go. Awesome. So as I'm sharing with you, some beautiful ladies here with beautiful smiles, and they're going through menopause. There are certain things that we sort of look at and we say, oh my gosh, it's like, we talk about this in private, or we talk about this one-on-one, and we're saying, oh my gosh, I'm going through hot flash, I can't sleep, I can't do this. But there are other things that can impact you over long term if you're not doing the right things or consuming the right things. And there's a friend of ours, he's Dr. Bob Rakowski, and he likes to use this term: if you can eat right, sleep right, think right, poop right. That means your body's moving at the way it's supposed to, and it's getting the right things, the right nutrition, the right type of sleep, the level of stress level is down. So how does a perfect storm happen in the body? Is when it's not aligned. So basically, the body is at dis-ease. It's not at ease. So that's how disease or illness happen. But in this case, menopause is a way of, I would call it, rite of passage. We go through puberty, we have our menstrual cycle for those who have had it month after month, year after year, and then small changes happen, and you sort of have put your finger on it why you're going through these things. And everyone is different. Women have different symptoms. Some don't experience anything at all. Some do, and some are severe cases. So things like, sleep problems, your metabolism is slower, and people go, well, I have menopause weight. And, there's things that you can do to combat that, because most of us, as we're going through life journey, if it's whether through pregnancy or post, you're going through perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. There are things that you can't quite put your finger on until you speak to your doctor. And so you could be having your cycle all through for some period of time, even though you're going through perimenopause. So sometimes if you have irritability, anger, stress, you have the chills, sometimes you're really hot, you find that, you have a little bit of anxiety, things can happen where you find yourself experiencing these things, maybe not all at once, but you're experiencing it at some point in your life. And I'm going to mention here the andropause, and I don't mean to smile or laugh, but a lot of people, especially men, when I speak about it, they go, andropause, what's that? There's a joke that sometimes with menopause, women are taking a pause from men, and from andropause, men are taking a pause from women. So that's a running joke, in my circle. But these things are really, really impactful on the body in a negative way if you're not mindful of it. Some of the symptoms are similar, but not all, to menopause. Things like decreased energy, hopelessness, that's part of the anxiety and depression, decreased motivation. You find your self-esteem is lower. You find sometimes you increase your body fat, and that could be, could contribute to many things, not just for andropause. Sometimes you have difficulty sleeping, sounds familiar, like the menopause, and you have decrease in your muscular mass, symptoms of physical weakness, decreased bone density, just like when you're going through menopause, and in some cases, infertility in men. So going back to menopause now, symptoms of menopause, we may know or not be aware of, or we can maybe think it's related to something else. Like these could be signs that you're going through perimenopause or menopause itself. So brain fog is the main thing. Some people say you go through cycles like baby brain, or you're going through age, so you're losing your memory, or you're thinking, oh, my brain's not so good anymore. It could be symptoms or signs of premenopause or menopause. Things like hair loss, hot flashes, anxiety, and depression. Now we know menopause, everyone speaks about hot flash. Everyone speaks about insomnia, but there are other things too as well. So going through a few of these, I won't go through any. You can take a screen capture of this if you wish to. I got this from One Woman Health. I like to sort of refer back to the sources where I get these information from. One is a thing that that's not really spoken about is stress incontinence, where you find that you're not able to hold your urine as well as you did when you were younger. And so you think it may be due to age. It could be something where your pelvic wall, the pelvis itself, your pelvic wall has gotten weak. So of course, over time, your body's losing estrogen. So of course, you're not be able to have better control over your bladder. And when it's bloating, like going through your menstrual cycle, you get bloated sometimes. This happens also in menopause or premenopause. You have vaginal dryness. How do you combat that? How can you explain to your friends or your family members you're having this vaginal dryness? Well, you may not be comfortable speaking about it, but you can also do your due diligence and find out what can I do to correct that or to be able to lessen the symptoms of that. Another one is breast pain, something that you would not figure would be part of menopause because you normally have breast heaviness or then you have discomfort in your breast when you're going through your menstrual cycle, but not thinking that could be also part of your menopause shift into this different season in your life. Digestive problem is another one. Tingling extremities, your fingers, your feet, different parts of your body may have like electrical shocks that can happen. And speaking of that, I may have had that too, not realizing that was it. And then of course you may have weight gain and allergies, brittle fingernails, brittle nails, joint pain, osteoporosis. All of these things can be linked to, of course, menopause. Another thing too is irritation of the skin changes. Because your body is declining estrogen, it can lead to dry and itchy skin. Now, menopause doesn't really cause the rash. It's basically the breakdown of your body not being able to get enough estrogen in your system, in your overall system in that you're not receiving the right type of nutrients, or your body just depletes in estrogen. It could be for many reasons. You could have gone through a hysterectomy. You could have gone through, a partial hysterectomy. You could have gone through many things, which could have robbed you of your estrogen level. And so if you find that you're going through your menstrual cycle, you've not had that for 12 consecutive months, that means you're going through full-blown menopause. But if you find that it comes and goes, starts, a month or two, then you don't miss it, or you miss it for a few months and it comes back full blown, you go through the perimenopausal stage. And this can last between 2 and 8 years. And again, I got this information through credible sites. 8 spots is one. It doesn't matter what ethnicity you are, it can happen. Melasma is one of them. Red skin blotches, skin bumps, skin rashes. In some cases, you can get severe acne. I had a friend growing up, and she was an older person, and she had a lot. All of her acne came back when she went through menopause, and not understanding what was happening to her, and it was really, really tough on her, and that impacted her self-esteem. And of course, it can trigger other things too, like depression and anxiety. So some of the things you may take for granted, especially in this weather, is a dry skin, itchy patches, in the back, neck, throat area, face, elbows, many places you can actually find it. And you may say, okay, maybe just a dry patch I have. So have it looked at to see if your estrogen level is actually very low. And as I'm going through this as well, I'm not going to be speaking every single area for menopause, but just know I'm going to highlight a few that I think are important. Not all issues, all symptoms are important, but I figure I should highlight some of these things that bring to your attention. Another one is heart palpitation. It can mimic something else, but it also could be a symptom of menopause. And so things like sensation in your neck, your chest, you may have other areas you find that may or may not be part of the heart palpitation. Hot flashes. So if you're having both the heart palpitation along with a hot flash, it could also lead you to feeling anxious, because anxiety can pop up, its ugly head in different ways, and it may not be menopause. It could be you're simply stressed and you're internalizing a lot of stuff with no outlet, and anxiety can trigger. Or it could be a disorder that you have that you're not aware of. But the heart palpitation can actually happen, and you can keep track of it. Also pay attention or write a journal in your journal or food journal, or you're tracking your symptoms, or even your phone. You put a note in there as to when you're feeling something, either after you're eating, or if you eat certain foods, like a lot of processed food that are high in carbs or sugar. And sometimes for the cycle of stress that you're going through, you may crave sugar, you may crave carbs, not realizing that it could be a condition of menopause or premenopause, which can actually trigger the heart palpitation. And so again, these are things I grabbed from credible sites. So in this case, if you're looking through certain type of symptoms, the changing of your hormone levels, you can't really see it on the outside. You can feel a certain way, but can't put your finger on it, right? So if you can connect certain dots, and then as you explain to your doctor about how you're feeling, they can determine through that to send you off for further studies, further tests, so that you can actually sort of narrow it down to what you're experiencing with your body. Other things that you can find that could be related to heart palpitation would be your sudden change in mood and or mental challenges that you're going through. And of course, if you're not verbal about what you're going through, you're not expressing that, you're still internalizing stress, right? Intense sugar cravings, as I mentioned, overexertion or exercise tolerance. So a lot of people, for example, my younger sister, went into early menopause, premenopause, and full-blown menopause at age 38. She did a lot of exercising. So I don't know if you consider excessive, but she was consistent, about 6 or 7 times throughout the week. Sorry, 5 to 6 times per week. And that sort of doing that for several years could have contributed to her going into premenopause. I'm seeing a line here, so please, if you're on your phone, try not to touch the screen too much, because for some reason it looks like it's taking over the presentation. But just moving forward, estrogen and the skin health is also something you need to pay attention to. Dryness, fine wrinkles, which we talk about like aging, but really it can be a contributing factor, and other things can trigger fine wrinkles. decreased firmness and elasticity, prone to damaging, poor healing, and atrophy. Symptoms also of menopause, as you continue with the rash, is that your pH level has changed. And how do you bring back your pH level? To prevent your skin disorders like eczema and rosacea. You can apply things externally, but also internally, because on the skin is a temporary fix, but internalizing the right things, ingesting the right things, of course, and reducing your stress level and other things can reduce some of these symptoms, and that may cause things like redness, dryness, itchiness, and flushing of the skin. And depending on your ethnicity, you can actually see more predominant on certain ethnicity in the Caucasian skin, or even if you have more melanin in your skin, you can actually notice certain things. And sometimes not realize that it is a situation where it could be perimenopause or menopause. Another thing too as well is headaches. You find if you're prone to headaches when you're younger or during your menstrual cycle. I know for me, for my menstrual cycle, which I'm still going through right now, is that I get a headache a day or two before my menstrual cycle begins. And so that can trigger, certain things in your going through your menstrual cycle. So if you're going through menopause and you have similar, or you think you're going through menopause or perimenopause, you may have some of the symptoms like as if you're going through your menstrual cycle, like headaches, because your hormone level has been disrupted, is shifting, and that can cause different types of headaches. We can trigger in your tension, around your eye, your head. And it could also be the weather, it could be different things, but just pay attention and track when you're getting the headaches. That could possibly be part of your hormonal headaches. And you can do things that can prevent the headaches or migraines during menopause. Again, everything is hormonal, right? So headaches during your perimenopause can feel relentless, keep going on and on. There's no ease, no break. Sometimes you sleep, you wake up, you still have the headache. You go to sleep, you think it's water. You're dehydrated, or you're not eating on time or sleeping enough. It could be a combination of everything. So tracking what triggers your headache, keep a diary, right? Keep a diary, and then also watch for the pattern and record the time and the frequency of your headaches and the location of your headaches. Like I mentioned to you, for myself, I'm prone to headaches. Lesser now as I've gotten older, in my 20s, 30s, and 40s, and so forth. But as going through the early part of my menstrual cycle, I got headaches a lot, at least once or twice in a week. And so I've learned now what to do to combat that. But there's certain headaches you just can't avoid, right? Like the weather outside, some people are more sensitive than others. And you're going through hormonal imbalance or decline in your estrogen level. You may not realize that you're low on estrogen, so it could trigger a headache. So the cycle also to keep track of is the cycle day numbers for menstruating women. Same thing for those who are going through perimenopause or going through menopause itself. Your stress level, we can't really track it, but you can tell your body can feel like it's stressed, especially when you internalize and not voice, your concerns or your worries, or your stress level can go up, and so does your anxiety. Your sleep quality is another one as well. If you're not sleeping enough, it can trigger headaches, which can lead to other things. And of course, environmental exposures, which can impact your hormone imbalance. Another one is to consider, when should you see a healthcare provider? Most people between 40 and 50, when you sort of experience the menopause stage of life or the shift in life. But as I mentioned to you, my sister, she went into menopause at 38. So perimenopause just before that, and she went into full menopause a couple of years after. So it depends on the person. This is also some information I gathered from credible sites, but again, it could be earlier, right? It depends on your hormone imbalance and your estrogen level can trigger all of this. Of course, some people may go through hysterectomy very early, much earlier than 40, and so that can trigger menopause quite early, which is something that most doctors don't want to do. But in some cases where it's rare, where you have to have a hysterectomy, it can trigger menopause or early menopause or perimenopause, depending on what type of surgery that you're doing. Headaches combined with when to see your doctor is when you have a headache that is combined with unexplained weight loss. Headaches that are getting worse or feel different than before. Also, if you find you're taking medication, like over-the-counter medication, like Advil or Motrin or Tylenol, things like that, and it's not really you're getting no relief from that, and you're taking too much, and it's not giving an easy relief from the headaches. Those are the times I would say seek a doctor. And don't wait too long. Just don't brush it off. Just make sure to have an appointment with your doctor. Sometimes it may take a week or two, but still track it through the journal to tell them when you visit as to what you were experiencing throughout that time frame. Another one also is that if your headache wakes you up. That's another one. You should also have a fever or a rash when the headache occurs. And also if you feel dizziness or weakness when you have the headache. So these are all factors that you might be mindful of. So what do you do to remedy some of these things, right? And keep in mind what I'm going to share with you, many of you may not be on medication and some of you may be on medication. So I would say to you, the ones I'm going to outline, I'm going to mention to you, are some of the natural solutions that you can use to reduce your stress level, to bring more balance into for your hormones. But again, there's certain things that you should refer to. For example, if you know that you want to take this, I would say not go to a doctor per se, but go to a pharmacist because they study natural medicine. Or if you have a naturopathic doctor that you can refer to, they are more well versed on natural solutions versus pharmaceutical solutions, which are temporary solutions. So things like a black cohosh, evening primrose, ginkgo biloba, ginseng, red clover, St. John's wort. Those are some of the few that you can use. And again, if you find that you're taking a medication, make sure you consult. A best example would be with my mom, not related to menopause, but when she had her stroke, that left her from diabetic-related stroke, even though I knew what certain things were good for, because she had mild to moderate dementia, I still referred to a doctor who, at the pharmacist, who also knew what type of medication she was taking. And I couldn't give her things like ginkgo biloba. I couldn't give her things like turmeric. I couldn't give her other things like that because it reduced the impact on her, the beta block medication she was taking for her heart. But then I spoke to them about this herb to your right, which is called reishi, Ganoderma in the Western world, reishi or Lindsay in the Eastern world and Eastern part of the world. And this actually has no negative interaction with medication. So it can be safely taken because it's under the heading of nutraceuticals, medical mushroom, versus and also a whole food nutritional value under the table of herbs. So as you going through a certain type of treatments for menopause, if you're taking certain medication, whether it's natural or if it's over the counter prescribed, or certain things that they would say on the on the market that's good for menopause, pay attention if those medication triggers a headache. That's also something as well. And also there's something called hormone replacement therapy, HRT. It's supposed to replace your help with your hormone balance. That can also trigger a headache. So be very mindful and pay attention to your body. Another thing as well too is caffeine in medication can trigger headaches. Even though it relieves headaches for some, it can trigger for others. And I'm going to go back to my mom as well. When she took her medication, we couldn't give her any type of, as an example, nothing to do with menopause again, when she was taking her medication for her diabetes and so forth and have blood pressure, she couldn't take things for, if she had a cold that had anything with caffeine because it would spike her sugar. So again, this is something nothing to do with menopause, but just give an example of how it's important for you to make sure, even though it's a pharmaceutical, to pay attention to your body as you're going through making decisions for yourself in the way of alleviating some of the symptoms of menopause or perimenopause, right? Another one is also to consider is what you need to avoid by shifting the way that you prioritize your health in the way of your lifestyle change. And sometimes we go through life and we're not mindful of what's triggering certain things. I have one friend at one time when she's going through her menopause, if she had any coffee, it would flare up. Like a regular coffee, she would flare her hot flashes. And so she had to reduce that. So in some cases, smoking can do that, even the vapor, I forgot the term they use, but vapor puff, those can trigger in some cases can trigger your symptoms of menopause. Stress. I'm showing some male here, so the stress of the tanning beds, but remember, andropause can also trigger, and if you haven't gone through that, stress and tanning beds can also cause that too. If you get an excessive amount of sun, can trigger and some of the symptoms or flare-ups as you're going through menopause or andropause or even perimenopause. Alcohol, excessive amount can trigger that because sometimes when you consume alcohol, it can trigger hot flashes. Certain allergens in the food and medication and in the environment can trigger, your certain symptoms of menopause. Now, another part of, and I want to share with you some of the things that I've sort of identified that through medical treatments, traditional ones you can use. So for example, if you have an itching issue with vaginal dryness, you can use anti-itch creams, things that have cortisol, but they can only be used for short periods of time. Things that have antihistamines. Now, again, if you're diabetic and you're taking anything for anti-itch, if you're going through menopause, you need to consult with your doctor or the pharmacist because some antihistamines have excessive amount of sugar, corticosteroids. Also, some people who are diabetic, in my mom's case, you couldn't have certain things like that. It had to be ensure that those things were not part of the ingredients. Things like over-the-counter medication can be easily obtained. But for example, hormone therapy is something that has been proven in some cases to help with replacing estrogen and progesterone. But again, this may be something you have to speak to your practitioner about and to be able to get the right information to help you. There are patches you could use for hormone therapy. It's actual physical therapy you can do. But in addition to that, you could think of things like how we can do things at home or with a group of people or a friend or a sister or a sibling, someone who you know that you can count on to be able to help you stay active or to be able to put things in place to help you with your menopause symptoms. So one would be your healthy diet, switching your diet. Now, it's easy to say, hard to do, especially if you're not mindful of what you're eating to get the flare-ups of certain conditions or symptoms you may or may not realize is you're going through the cycle, the change of life. So a healthy diet, making sure you choose the right foods, pay attention to what you're eating and what causes you to flare up. In some cases, you may have other conditions or symptoms or even another underlying major issue that certain foods, even though it's good for you through menopause, you can't have it because of certain conditions that you're experiencing with your health concern that you're going through. For example, my friend who is going through for fibromyalgia, there's certain things she can't have. So even though it's good to bring back for the estrogen level, you actually can't have it, even though it will help to alleviate some of the symptoms of menopause. So do your due diligence and see what works for you. Being active is important, and managing your stress level can help you if you're active. You be actively pursuing reducing your stress, breathing exercise, meditation, and of course seeing a physician to help you to determine, if you're actually going through that stage, at what stage you're going through, whether it's peri or full-blown menopause. Some of the things I would share with you to recognize is to recognize what the problem is to speak it out, to share it with the person that you can trust, but also consult with a doctor to help you to identify those things, learn more about it. Just don't go on Google and search because sometimes Google give you the worst case scenario, but see a therapist if you need it, if you're going through things like depression, because it can be a real thing. You're going through depression as going through menopause, you're excited, like you're like a warrior going through menopause, and then bam, you have depression, not realizing you're going through depression or you're going through anxiety, and it's like a cycle. Anxiety, insomnia, you're going through lack of sleep plus other things that you're going through, and it can be a whole cycle of things that you find that you can't sort of express, especially if you're a woman who's taking care of everyone else and everything else under the sun, and you're not taking care of yourself for a long period of time, and so you sort of put yourself on the back burner and you sort of address that later and later and later until it's like too late. So take time for yourself. Practice some self-care time to de-stress and to sort of center yourself. Don't spend all day in bed if you're retired, or don't spend too long a time in bed, because that can also bring on the feeling of being lethargic and no energy and so forth. And that could be signs that you're going through the change. And of course, break down your tasks, because you might get overwhelmed thinking, I have all these things to do. And if you're not thinking right, you're not sleeping right, you're not pooping right, and all these things that you're supposed to help you with your body stay in alignment, but then you're going through the change, right? So then these are things that more tasks on your brain. So write it down, break it down, make it in manageable tasks or chunks so that you don't feel overwhelmed. Another one, as well, as you're going through depression, you may also have physical and emotional symptoms, not just thinking you're going through anxiety, or you don't realize you're going through depression. Things like your stomach, your gut can be a trigger. Flare-ups can happen. Your body's highly inflamed. Things can happen where you find you are going through these cycles, your body is shifting, you're going through all of these things, not realizing, okay, this discomfort in my stomach, this pain in my stomach, uneasiness in my body. I may have, I feel shaky, or I feel like I feel anxious, or you can't put your finger on that. These could be signs of leading up to depression as well. And so what do you do? What do you identify? How do you realize and put, make, so to speak, 2 and 2 make 4 instead of 2 and 2 make 22? You sort of like, you pay attention to your body, and just don't take for granted that, oh, it's just I'm gaining weight. Oh, my metabolism is actually slow. No, there are things you can do to combat that. So if you find that you have change in your weight, you find you have no libido, or you find your energy is low, or you've lost interest in many things, and you're seeing the world going by, you're sort of scrolling on social media, and you're sort of numbing yourself to what you're going through, pay attention to the signs, because it cannot, not only is it physical, it's psychological as well. So digestive system, remember I mentioned before, if you can eat right, think right, poop right, sleep right, your digestive problems can also lead to you being constipated, things that you're not able to take for granted, and that your body's not breaking down what it's supposed to break down for your body to be able to output what it needs to. Also, feeling of worthlessness can be tied to depression, anxiety, but you may not realize you're going through perimenopause or menopause. So you have this overwhelming feeling, and you feel like you want to cry, even when you know that there's no reason why you're crying. You feel sad, you don't know why you feel sad. And of course, that can lead to a cycle of different things like sleeping problems and other type of symptoms that you're not really paying attention. Now, how do you get plenty of rest when you're going through the cycle? It's easy to say, but there are ways that you can actually combat that. Regular exercise, I say to you, have an accountability partner, get someone to help you to get you out of that, rut. Do things that will sort of force you to be able to trick the mind to say, okay, I don't feel like exercising today, but let me call my friend. Let me create a chat. Let us go on a walk together, so you get into the momentum of doing that. And I can challenge you. You can actually do like a 21-day challenge reset for yourself that you put in your calendar. What do I need to do? And then work with someone to help you, that you don't have to do it alone. Right? There's other things you can do, herbal remedies. You can do things like relaxation for the muscles through meditation, breathing exercise. And as I mentioned before, alcohol and caffeine is one of the things that can trigger some of the symptoms of menopause. And positive self-talk. I just give you a tip for myself. I actually do a lot of audiobooks. I listen to audiobooks more so than the news, because that we're fighting with our brain anyways, right? The brain is like 80 to 90% negative of all the self-talk that you do internally. And then you add to that, traffic and news and conversation on external. So I'll say to you, listen to some audiobooks that can help you with your mindset. One of the books I actually love to read, I'm reading right now, is Psycho-Cybernetics, and that's actually a pretty good book. How do you overcome your pain and depression during menopause? Talk more, exercise, eat healthy, and distress. It's easy to do, but I say to you, I want to encourage you just to take one thing out of that and then implement it. Then implement another one. Then implement another one. And by the time you turn around and you check back, because hindsight is 2020, and you go back to what you've done for that week or that month, you go, oh my goodness, I was able to implement some of the things that can help me with my journey from where I am in going through the struggles and the stress and the challenges of menopause to where I am now, where it's more manageable. Perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. There are many things that can happen with your body, as I mentioned, of course, your skin, different things that you can actually identify that may be related to menopause. Making sure you have ample amount of moisturizer on your skin, especially in the winter months. SPF, I'm on the fence with that because some sunscreen have chemicals, which can be hormone disruptors as well. So be careful of the type of sunscreen that you use, as well as your moisturizer. For me, I use through our business a line called BEU. It's all natural, and it is no hormone disruptor chemicals in that line. So I've been using that for some time now, and I find it has worked wonders for me. The main thing is making sure that you have things like retinol, peptides, hyaluronic acid in your ingredients, but make sure when you're looking at your moisturizer that the chemicals that are in the ingredients, make sure you do your due diligence to make sure that these do not disrupt your hormone. It can lead to infertility, it can lead to many things if those ingredients are not natural. And so also herbal supplements I mentioned before, and you can make sure that these have no side effects. So as I'm sharing that with you, I want to introduce to you what I'm most passionate about is this journey that we're on to discover wellness. I want to share this with you. We represent a company called Organo. We are a Canadian company for the last 15 years. The head office is in Victoria, BC. And I've been, my husband and I, Cornell, we have been business partners, but first of all, we were customers. We were sort of experiencing the benefits of this amazing herb, which is called reishi or Ganoderma. And so it comes in different forms infused into the product. Now, the actual genius of the herb is infused into what I'm going to share with you, like your skincare, the natural, the nutraceuticals, the actual coffee, teas, and hot cocoa that we think is, as we've known, has been proven to trigger hot flashes. This can actually have the reverse effect. So just think of it, one small change or shift can leave a lasting impact, not just for you, but that's for your family. So the Ganoderma itself is worldwide known for several thousand years in the eastern side of the world. In the western side, not so much. Just think about ginseng over 20 years ago, no one knew what ginseng was. Think about coconut oil in the Caribbean, we know what it's good for. In North America, everyone thinks it's too high in fat. And so of course they will utilize it, use it, or they figure that it is not healthy, but actually it is. So it has been proven that it is healthier than most oils. And so in the world of mushroom, this is known to have many medicinal health properties, but also is good as a food supplement. So in Canada, we have the NPN number for our product, which comes in the capsule form. And so it's a natural product number to state that it supports the immune system. But what I'm going to share with you are some publicly published findings through PubMed that identifies many of the symptoms that the Ganoderma and other mushrooms have been known to help in a natural consumption. So we have the patent, we protected, it's actually a certified organic. But to your right, I want to bring to your attention this yellow color mushroom. This is also considered, although it's artificial, it's also considered as organic because it's free of pesticides. But it's going in a plastic bag, so it isn't as healthy, not getting all the right nutrients as Mother Nature intended. But to your left, this is what we are very proud of. So you're able to get all the goodness of the mushroom into your body. So I'm going to share with you 3 of the mushrooms that I actually absolutely love. I've learned so much about it, and I'm sharing this with you today. Ganoderma, as I mentioned before, it supports the immune system, but also for overall well-being, reducing your stress, and promotes health on many different levels, even your amino acids, which we're sometimes deficient in because of the lack of nutrients in the foods we eat today. But also cortisol, really good for your endurance, your energy, and many more things. And aligns mainly is good for your focus. Sometimes through menopause, you're going through the brain fog, or you find that you're being forgetful. This lion's mane, which is relatively safe, but the other 2 supports brain health function. So I'm going to share with you this as well. You can take a screen capture of this if you wish to. And so these are the PubMed findings through pubmed.gov. So things like the Ganoderma supports the immune system, as I mentioned. It helps with your better mood, meaning that it has the ability to, as you consume it, to help reduce your anxiety levels, helps you with better quality of sleep, helps also with cardio disease. As I mentioned before, heart palpitations. Most people who drink coffee, they get heart palpitations, but in this case, with the infused beverages we have, you will not experience that because this negates the negative effects of caffeine. So you can still have your healthy cup of goodness with these particular herbs infused into them. Now, just to give you a level, sort of like an idea, Ganoderma itself is very bitter. To consume on its own, if you brew it down into a tincture, is very bitter. So how often can you drink something that is very bitter? Not very often. But if we found a way that we can infuse it into beverages like chocolate, hot cocoa, teas, and so forth, and all you're tasting is the gourmet taste of these beverages, but you're still getting the goodness of the Ganoderma, that's a win-win for me, because for me, I don't do bitter. All right, so it also helps in fighting stress. So here are some things here that is to help with. But one thing I want to bring to your attention, most conditions in the body, if your body's highly inflamed, it triggers conditions like the stomach, the body, the brain. So it's very high in oxygen. It reduces your actually improves your oxygenation in your body. It helps. It's actually antioxidants. It helps with with your metabolic disorders. So, for example, individuals who have gained weight through menopause or premenopause, this has helped as well in many cases. Another one too as well, it helps in osteoporosis. This is anti-osteoporosis. And so thinking of those individuals who are going through full-blown menopause, they may need more estrogen because it's depleted. So of course, when you have low in estrogen, you have a higher risk of developing osteoporosis. So brittle bones disease. As you get older, small fall you can have an impact on your bones, breaking them because your muscle mass, your bone mass has actually reduced, and so causing higher risk of injury. Cordyceps, as I mentioned before, is something I love because it's one of our products, actually two of our products, and it helps with it actually acts as an antidepressant-like effect. So not only is it good for the libido, it's also good for your immune system and improving your appetite and boosting your stamina. It also helps with conditions like your anxiety and stress level, even if you're going through mild to moderate chronic stress, even if you're going through higher levels of stress. It also helps with your estrogen level. It's anti-obesity, and it also helps with many other things. I'm just pinpointing some of the things it's great for in this particular discussion. A few of the things too as well here for cordyceps, it also helps with a few other things. A main thing that I want to share with you is that overall well-being or health, it has many other benefits besides what I mentioned to you before. This is one of the products we carry, which is called red tea. Is caffeine-free naturally, but the cordyceps and the reishi is infused into this tea. And so the properties of the Ganoderma and the cordyceps, it's what helps your body. So for example, a theanine is an amino acid that our body needs. It helps you to give you a feeling of being calm. The healthy heart, healthy brain is what your body needs as you're going through this transition, right? So lion's mane is the last and final herb I want to mention to you, the mushroom. It helps with your gut, brain communication, and also healing the gut. Also with your cognitive function and to boost your focus and concentration. So many of us, either through sleep deprivation or going through the change or certain things, even if you had a baby and you're going through post-baby symptoms, or if you're actually going through the season of the change of life, like perimenopause and so forth, this lion's mane is really good to consume along with the others, but it has many other things like anti-fatigue. It helps you with your dietary, it actually helps with a dietary intervention for major depressive disorder. So not just menopause, but other things as well. And so I want to share with you one of the products we have, which is coffee. It's a premium brand with organo. It has with 3 mushrooms. So cordyceps, reishi, and lion's mane. I love this one. It's my new favorite go-to. I used to have the king before, which was just the spores. But no, I love this one because I find a major difference right away as soon as I consume it. I love it with honey. You don't have to have it with honey, but it helps with many other things other than what I mentioned. And you're just simply able to consume the coffee without the negative effects of caffeine or palpitations, no jitters, and so forth, because these were all infused into the coffee. So you're getting the triple blend of mushroom, and you're finding that, you get the benefits without the bitter taste. And so just to show you a comparison, ours is 99% absorption rate of our naturally grown Ganoderma, where the artificial version is 4 to 30% absorption. Give it a comparison. If you're taking vitamins and you find that your urine is yellow or a different color or smells differently, it's because your body is taking what it needs, and then of course you're passing out the rest. Whereas with this, because it's a natural grown mushroom, it stays into your body, so it detoxifies the body the right way, and so it allows you, when you check now, when you're passing through, let's say you're having urine, then your pee should be clear, not and no other smells besides sometimes you have vitamin B, or you have things like spirulina, and you can actually tell the difference when you go to the bathroom. So the herb actually grows in 3 stages. There's the mycelium, which is the root. The Ganoderma is the fruiting body. And then the spores releases into the air to create more that goes into plum logs, and you actually germinate into have the cycle of growth because it's not going in plastic bags. And so I want to share with you this, as you see here, Ganoderma, Lucidum, mycelium, and spores, they all have benefits. But what we found out from people who have consumed the mycelium, people who are going through anxiety or depression or some type of mental disorder, in a way of it's, either you have basically a mild to moderate experience with depression or anxiety to extreme. This actually has been, we've gotten feedback from individuals who found that this has helped them by just taking a few capsules, and these are all naturally organic capsules. And so what I want to share with you as I wrap up is this. We have a promotion running until the end of the month where you can get these wellness packs. You can save 15% if you were to get them to try them out. I mentioned the BU skin line is the skin care. To your right, there's one that shows here the skin care that has Manuka honey. It has a toothpaste, which is good for your gums. So the Ganoderma is actually helping with your gums as well. And for those who've had issues with inflammation of the gums, it helps as well. So I've been using this for the last, I think about 12 years. The skincare I've been using myself for the past 7 years or so, but the actual beverages for over 12, going on 13 years. And I've actually seen the difference with myself. So what it's going to do for you, I don't know, but I would challenge you to try at least for 60 to 90 days and pay attention to your body, and would love to hear back from you as to how it made you feel. There's different packages available here, but there's also an additional way that you can get additional into the 15%, you can get 25% off. If you determine you want to try it for 60 to 90 days, there is the option to get 25% off through an auto ship program we have, where you're able to get that 25% off right away every single month. And then you control that yourself. You can change what you have on there. You can put it on pause, but at least give yourself 60 to 90 days to try a package, or even if it's just a product or two that you can try for yourself to see what it does for you. My go-to, as I mentioned, is the Royale. I love the King. The Spores I love because for me, I feel a difference. I'm generally healthy, but for me, it doesn't hurt to be healthier. It doesn't matter whatever challenge you're going through. So here we're at the end of this part of my presentation. I want to share with you 2 articles that were written about us through Women's Journal and CEO Weekly, and we have a third one coming out, where we were able to share our story, how we were able to transition from corporate to empowering health, and also another conversation on the 21-day mindset for a healthier you. So if you wish to get the article, I can share that with you in the group. As well, I'm going to end here and thank you so much for your time, and also open up for Q&A. And as I open up for Q&A, I can read the information here to answer any questions that be put into the chat. Any questions? I see Vanessa lost her voice. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm reading your messages now. So I thank you for still joining, and I'm glad that it has been a good week.
No questions, but I do have a comment.
Sure.
My girlfriend who just started using the red tea because she really had trouble sleeping went to her naturopath just to make sure that it was okay. And she was told, go ahead. I mean, reishi mushroom, yes. She's only been using it for 2 weeks. She was really happy when she got her order, but she just calls me up all the time now because she's sleeping. She's on day 3 of sleeping through the night. And
What?
I find that interesting. She's like, I didn't like it hot. So what I did was I made it cold.
Yeah.
So I want to say and encourage you, if you do the challenge, you do absolutely need to do it for at least 30 to 60 days. And you can play with these things and, mix them up the way you think would suit your palate best. Because I'm a mix master and I mix just about every single thing. I cook with the spores. I just have fun with food. And anybody that knows me knows that I enjoy creating. So, yeah, I dare you to do the challenge.
Double dare, yeah. So I see here Janice asked a question, true or myth, melanin women menopause lasts longer than others? No, that's not true. We all go through the same cycle, but some women go through short cycles and some go through long cycles. So it depends on, some people are not realizing they're going through menopause or perimenopause. They're going through life, right? So there's some of the things that we brush off, like a headache or certain things. Oh, I'm too young for that. It can happen early. So in this case, all females, we go through menopause. We have to pass through the passage. I call it what term where you call it like a passage of right passage, right? You pass through puberty, you go through your cycle of menstrual cycle, then you go through menopause, right? So you have to go through that. So some people may go to 2 years, some people go to 5 years, 10 years, it doesn't matter of your ethnicity. My mom, she didn't even know she's going through menopause. She didn't have any hot flash. All she got was like sometimes irritated. She had no other symptoms. And she went through early because she had a full hysterectomy. So in her case, it lasted for a couple of years. And of course, in some cases, it can happen for a long time. My sister, she went through, I think it would have been maybe 5 or 6 years. You can go anywhere from 2 years to double digits in the length of time. So it all depends on the person. So I hope that answers your question, Janice.
And Janice, can I say, master not just your mind and your body, but your soul. It is so important to have a complete balance and awareness of your whole condition, your human condition. It's one of the hardest challenges I've had to face, going through, on one hand, fibromyalgia, on the other side, lupus. Being a migraine sufferer all my life. I was 9 years old, came on my period, blam. What is this? So there was hormone imbalance. There's a lot. It's a lot. And not to keep you, but it's important to really master your body. You got to master your body.
Yeah.
Try error. Love you.
Love you too. Thank you so much. And we all here in a safe, you're thinking it's a safe environment, because that's what we want to nurture and foster. And if you have questions offline that you want to ask, feel free, get back to the person who invited you. We do have, even though we're presenting here as a health talk, we do have the opportunity. We're looking for business partners as well who want to, pursue a health and wellness entrepreneurial ecosystem that can help them with their family or people that they're passionate about in helping. But it's not the platform, but for that, we do have it on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. So reach out to the person. We can speak about the business aspect. Next Tuesday, we'll be having a different topic, and I will share the information with you guys. For us, is there a particular topic you want to discuss that I can actually work on? And it isn't, any topic is open to speak about. If there is, you can send a message or you can put in the comments. And again, don't be shy. Okay. So since there are none right now, and if you're like me, you think of the answer after you disconnect the call. That happens to most of us. Then it's okay, because the idea might come afterwards, right? Oh, what about this particular? I do want to stress more on the expand more on the andropause, and I will create another presentation for that. So if there are guys who would love to hear about that, and not this coming Tuesday, but there's a few other topics I'll be speaking on the next few weeks. One will be MS. Muscular dystrophy, and also I'm speaking on andropause. I want to also speak on infertility, a hormone disruption in the body, which can happen, which you don't realize that can impact you as well. So this is, again, if any other topics, let me know. I'd be more than happy to cover those for you. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day. Blessings to each and every one of you, and see you here again. And again, please feel free to share the invites to others so that we can be a community of people that know and learn and grow together. All right, take care. Have a blessed day.
Everyone.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.